Good evening, everyone. Today I will be taking a talk on imaging of Adnexal Torsion. So, as a resident, we are often posted in emergency department in the evening, and no one is there to guide us how to evaluate whenever a patient is coming with acute lower abdominal pain. And we often end up giving a wrong diagnosis, or we can say a delay in the diagnosis because no one is there to guide us. So through this talk, I will tell you about the certain tips and tricks how you can diagnose a adnexal torsion case whenever you are seeing in your clinical practice. And for a resident perspective of for a resident point of view, you will get to know how to write a question on this topic. How to will you, whenever you are given a long case or a short case, how you will approach to it. So, uh, uh, I shall be discussing about the adnexal, what is actually is adnexal torsion and its clinical presentation, its pathophysiology, imaging features of adnexal torsion, and its differential diagnosis. This is very essential because we should be aware what all are the conditions which are going to mimic the acute lower abdominal pain whenever a patient is presenting in an emergency. So, what is adnexal torsion? Before that, we should be aware what is the adnexa comprise of? So adnexa comprise of the ligaments and ovaries and fallopian tubes. So, as in this pictorial diagram, you can see the upper line is the fallopian tube, which is being wrapped around the ovary. This is the suspensory ligament, which goes along the inguinal ring as a passes. This is the broad ligament, which is pelvic peritoneal fold, and this is the ovarian ligaments. So all these structures together, they constitutes the adnexa, and in these ligaments, the vessels and the nerves forces to supply the blood flow to the ovaries and fallopian tubes. So, what happens, as we already know, the adnexal torsion is a gynecological emergency, which accounts for 2 to 3% of the acute pelvic pain. And in adnexal torsion, both very oftenly ovaries and fallopian tubes, as shown in this pictorial diagram, both everything together are often involved. So, there will be a twisting of all these structures around its long axis. So, when there is a twisting, we will discuss what happens next. So this twisting of all these structures, we call it as adnexal torsion. So very oftenly all the structures are involved, but rarely isolated torsion of fallopian tubes we may encounter in our practice, as well as the ovarian of the torsion of the extra-ovarian cyst, which we call it as a paratubal or para-ovarian cyst. What is important here is the early detection, because it is as we know, the ovaries, they are the reproductive organs. So once there is infarction occurs, then this will leads to the atrophy of the ovaries, and hence the ovarian reserves will be lost. So it might leads to the secondary infertility in future. So that is why we are so much worried in its early diagnosis. So what are the risk factors for adnexal torsion? You should be aware of it, because there has to be certain risk factor that usually leads act as a lead point across which the pedicle gets twisted. So these risk factors include the factors which causes the increase in ovarian size, what we call as ovarian enlargement. So this ovarian enlargement, it can be because of the simple cyst, and very often we encounter a mature cystic teratoma as shown in this figure, or dermoid cyst, what we call. The ovary can be enlarged because of the large follicles, which often occurs secondary to the stimulations which are given in IVF protocols to extract large number of the follicles at one time. In pre-menarche age, in the young patients, children, we can say it is because of the elongation of the utero-ovarian ligaments, because these are the suspensory ligaments. If they are elongated, they have a longer length to get twisted, so they also results in the ovarian torsion. In postmenopausal women, we less often encounters these common benign things that we encounter in reproductive age. So in postmenopausal, it is the malignant masses which acts as a lead point for the twisting, and What is very important to know that adhesions, because endometriosis, we know it is disorder of the adhesion. So adhesions, they are a protective because they will prevent the ovaries and adnexa from being twisted. Now, how does this patient present clinically? So will be history of the severe acute abdominal pain. They will often have a history of the nausea, vomiting, fever, and if there is associated mass in the pelvis, it will be present. The mass can be palpable on examination. So what we call as these as a surgically acute surgical abdomen. And for the diagnosis of the adnexal torsion, it is often a clinical diagnosis which is accompanied by the ultrasound findings. And when the challenges occurs, when the symptoms are non-specific, because very often they might be have some dragging pain, but it will not be a very severe acute abdominal pain, which has the with associated nausea and vomiting. So in this situation, it creates a diagnostic dilemma where the role of the radiologist comes often. So now coming to the pathophysiology of the adnexal torsion, how does what are the sequence of the things happens once there is a twisting of the pedicle? So in these, as I told, in this ligaments, it contains the vascular pedicles and nerves. So when there is a twisting, it will cause the compression of the initially veins and lymphatic, which will lead to the ovarian enlargement and edema. And because of the edema, the follicles will be displaced in the periphery. And if there is a persistent torsion, so there will be, because of the edema, the pressures will be increasing within the ovary and the uh, twisted pedicle. This will further cause the arterial compromise. And once there is an arterial compromise, this will lead to the infarction of the ovary. So these are the sequence of the events which happens in the adnexal torsion. Now, uh, how does the severity of vascular impairment we can assess? So it is often the degree of the rotation which occurs around its axis, and the ovary, as you know, it has a dual supply. It gets directly from the ovarian branches as well as ovarian branch from the uterine artery. So because of that, the often the arterial compromise does not happen, but if there is a lot of twisting and it has been for a prolonged duration, there might be an infarction. And once there is a, as I told earlier, once there is an arterial compromise, there will be the infarction of the ovary. And if there the presence of hemorrhage is a predictive for the ovarian non-viability and necrosis. So whenever you are seeing the hemorrhage in your imaging, on the CT, it will appear as a hypertense. On MRI, it will appear on T1 hyper and T2 hypointense. So if there is a hemorrhage, it's suggestive of the necrosis and non-viability. So, they might prefer to do oophorectomy. So now other imaging findings, what happens that because of the twisting, the ovary, as I told, the ovary will be enlarged in the side, so they migrate superiorly and towards in the midline. So you can see these are the twisted pedicle here. You can see this is the pedicle which is twisted. This is the ovary which has enlarged. These are the follicles which are displaced peripherally, and ovary has it's seen superiorly and in the midline. And once it moves because of the torsion, the adnexa, it pulls the uterus. So uterus we usually see in the midline now, but it is pushed towards the side of the affected ovary. So this is the left ovary which is being left adnexa which is being twisted. So the uterus is being pulled towards the left side, and uh, and whenever you are seeing this kind of altered anatomy, so you should have a suspicion of the adnexal torsion. And in contrast to the adnexal torsion, so whenever there is a ovarian lesion which are not associated with the torsion, so we often see adnexal masses and cysts. So in that cases, the ovary uterus will be pushed towards the opposite side because of the mass effect rather than being pulled towards the same side. So if you are seeing something which is unusual, the uterus is being displaced in a different way apart from the in a way which is supposed to be affected by the mass effect, then you should have a suspicion of the adnexal torsion. Now, what all the imaging modalities we do have for ovarian torsion or adnexal torsion? So first